pain. Vi sörger. Cold and empty, lifeless remains. Vi sörger. Fields of the fallen, blood-washed in rain. This cannot be all that will be. So you have torn this world apart. You came for our suffering. So we'll bleed, cut us deep, find the death that you seek. But just remember, we retreat, but we'll live on. Those that die on firm
Hello, my friends. I am sorry about a bit of a long wait. Unfortunately, the jungler for ETS did the old IRL Mia and bamboozled their team and just disappeared, which was extremely rough. However, never to fear. We are here. We are finally getting ready for this draft. Co-casting with me is my partner in crime, Chaos. Chaos, great to finally be going with you.
Yeah, I've been looking forward to this for a while. It's unfortunate that ETS the jungler wasn't here. It's possible that he comes back. We do have an E sub ready to go. So I think right now they're just potentially changing their draft strategy, talking about if they want to do anything about that. But we do have a roster ready to play. So I'm really excited to get going. This is going to be a really good series, and obviously I'm looking forward to whatever happens here because it's relevant for my team too. So I'm really excited.
Yeah. Also, interestingly enough, we're reading the chat and nothing is completely taken yet, but it might look like we get a handshake, no bans on either side, which would be crazy. We'd see kind of both teams playing at full power here, which really might change ETS's ban strategy.
Yeah, I guess I would like to understand if that means that they're waiving the penalty, meaning that ETS gets to ban as well as Waldo's gets to ban, or if they're saying that neither team bans any champion at all in draft. I
Mm-hmm.
think I would like to know what they're saying there. But either way, I think this will be at least an even match, right? We're not going to see like ETS losing their bans while Waldo retains their bans in draft. And it'll be interesting if there are just they're just no, handshake no banning, and then every single person gets whatever they want. It's that'll be interesting.
Very, very interesting. It looks like we're receiving some confirmations that people are getting ready to draft, so we should be here anytime. This is, by the way, for those of us who don't know, this is Waldo's versus ETS. This is, I believe, a lower final. Both teams have had crazy runs through the lower bracket, with Waldo's fending off, getting knocked down by the number two, beating number three, and then knocking out in a dramatic fashion number one in terms, and I believe that's Akasha and was it Purple or Jenny? One of those two. Sorry.
I'm
So
gonna pick.
they are truly like battle tested and ready to go. And I think the last time we were together, Monkey said if we play our game, nobody can beat us. And with how they've been playing, I'm not too inclined to disagree with them.
Yeah, I think for those of you guys who managed to watch the Waldo's versus Akasha series, Akasha had a really solid game one and a really solid first part of game two. But then when Waldo's figured out, what they needed to do in order to win, it was a pretty much a clean retake and then a clean closeout. So this series, we'll see if Waldo's can retain that. And we are in draft now, so
Yeah.
anything you're looking to see in draft.
Yeah, I believe by no ban they mean no ban cancel, so both teams get all five bans, which is crazy to think about. Both teams really are playing at full power, full strategic depth, though for ETS, there's kind of an unknown. What is the jungler like playing against? What do they do? What is their capabilities? If you're Waldos, you're not exactly prepared for the E sub. So are you, if you're Waldo's, are you just banning what you know needs to go away, like focusing around bot presumably to shut down Setsunai, or are you just trying to make that jungler uncomfortable?
So right off the bat, we do see the Smolder ban. So, I
Mm-hmm.
think that's perfectly, reasonable. I think Smolder has been taking over the competition. Uh, as we see another Ash ban as well, probably trying to break up like an Ash Seraphine.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely to your point, trying what they can to shut down Setsunai. Now,
Yeah.
from a jungle perspective, we'll get to the Nocturne in just a second.
Yeah.
Just from a jungle perspective, their jungle seems to, just looking from their OPGG, seems to play a lot of carry style junglers,
Yep.
which does have a parallel to their ETS's starter jungle.
Yep.
So from a draft perspective, maybe the champion pool is a little bit different, but playstyle actually might be the same. So I don't know how much ETS is going to truly feel the loss, but we'll have to see. Nocturne B1 comes out, and maybe I would say that that is a steal, because we
Yep.
know that Arist also plays Nocturne, especially with the Smolder B1 out, and then the Zin's out as a response. So far, the jungler's already taken both AD dive kind of control type junglers.
A couple things to think about. Zen Shao is AP build is actually not that bad, so there's a little bit of flexibility in what damage profile you want to take with Zen Shao. Especially if now in upper division, it's a lot harder to make AP Zen work because the teams are much better at coordinating, stacking onto the Zen Shao, and just killing him before his healing can really be an effective tool. However, if the fights get kind of scrappy and messy, which they have for Waldo's at some points, Zen Shao can do a lot of work,
Yeah.
a lot of work. So,
Yeah, I would say that Arist would probably go for the traditional Zinzao build. I'd
mhm,
see AP Zinzao a little bit more in the lane because he goes like static shiv into stuff,
yeah,
which would be more for lane. But yeah, I think Zin is great. Like Orianna, I was thinking about as soon as like ETS B1's Nocturne, Waldo's kind of wants to take away that Nocturne Ori combo, and then with Nocturne, since you're drafting a B1 dive type jungler, you do want something like a setup or a dive. So like a Lissandra, like a Zir, like a LeBlanc. Ari
mhm,
does fit that as well. On paper, I think this is a slightly losing matchup for Ari, but she can go even, especially into the immobile Oriana post 6. I think it's gonna be good for ETS to like lock down that Oriana, and then they do draft the Kaisa on the 3. So they ETS is basically saying that we want to kill this Oriana. We want to dive. So
yeah.
now it's up to Waldos to decide how they're gonna answer with when you draft Zinzao Oriana. You kind of want to control the space that you're holding. So I'm looking for things like, maybe like a Braum. I'm looking for things like an Ornn. I'm looking for things like a Zaya that are really good into dive.
Yeah. And Ari also provides a lot of roaming pressure too. Once she gets six, yes, it is hard to get the wave, but if you find a right timing or are able to use your jungler to get a wave kind of pushed in, Nocturne and Ari are massive threats in terms of like a bot gank and trying to force pressure down there too, even though Zaya kind of puts a damper on that.
Yeah, so we see the Bard ban come out really good. Bard's really good into immobile carries, would set up the Nocturne Ari Kaisa very well. So we see the Bard ban come out. Rakan, fantastic ban as well from ETS. You break up the Zaya Rakan pairing, deny their ability to, deny a little bit of their ability to control. I think there's still a lot of supports left in the pool. And then, yeah, same thing with Braum. Does kind of the same thing in this comp that the rest of Waldo's champions are doing. Okay, maybe they're thinking about what to ban here. Camille, fantastic top ban. Like the second round ban phase, definitely going in accordance to both teams' drafts. So far, both drafts are really good. It'll come
Yeah.
down to how these 4-5s go, and then also how they execute.
I was about to say execution massive here. Waldo's won their game two and three off of being much better at taking care of their mid
Hmm.
wave and having good mid game macro. I have not seen a lot of ETS playing, but again, it's who can take control of the mid wave and play tempo correctly. In this game, the fights will often be affairs of someone's pushing up a little too far without tempo, someone is not on the right place of the map where they need to be, or they're too far up or too far back, and their team's left exposed, and the fights will come quick and fast out of ETS. They're looking, prodding for weaknesses, so it really is up to Waldo's to make sure that everyone is where they need to be on the map, even with the disengage that something like Zaya and Alistair provides. It's a tough match. There's a ton of dive on ETS, and
Yeah.
Nautilus just really confirms that.
Yeah, to that one point you mentioned about the midwave, you're absolutely right that that was most of what decided the Waldo Sakasha series, especially towards the end of Game 2 and pretty much the entirety of Game 3. One thing I know about ETS is that Sets and I is really good about these midwaves. Like, we're not going to see the same win con being exposed that Akasha had the
Yeah.
way that ETS is going to play. So it really will come down to, I think, more about what are you going to do after the midwaves and what type of control you're going to take. So like quickly, Alistar, really good as an engage or disengage. Good follow up with Zen. Nautilus taken over here, just supplementing the dive threat, and Pest is supplementing the dive threat. ETS's drafting is very good. It's just like you all want to do the same thing. It's who can find the angle and how well are you able to get the kill and get out.
I'm about to say it is a massive kind of execution thing. A lot of micro execution and finding correct angles. So definitely doable for both sides. Waldes is a little easier to do. Put ball on Zen, both of you hit the dopamine button, or you're using them to peel. So very interesting. Mordekaiser top. So Mordekaiser can
Okay.
basically say no thank you to any solo engage if he's with the team. Also very threatening on his own, though Mbessa has a lot of outplay potential. Mordekaiser is not the best when it comes with dealing with a lot of like kind of mobile playmaking tops, but definitely someone who can just at minimum send the most important person on ETS to Brazil and turn it into a 4v4, which in some cases that's all you need to do as Mordekaiser to make a massive difference in the team fight.
Yeah, so a couple things I wanted to break up with this 4-5. Nautilus and Bessa, fantastic duo, right? Because Mbessa obviously has the skill shot ultimate, but as soon as Nautilus hits R on anybody, it sets up Mbessa perfectly, and then it would set up Kaisa, it sets up everybody. So if you're able to get all of that onto the Oriana, maybe before she builds Zanya's, then you're going to be able to pretty much win any fight. Or if you just Nautilus ult the Zaya and then wait out the Zaya ult, then you're also going to win that fight. So like that's a really good last two picks. The Mordekaiser pick is also really interesting because I feel like now I could be wrong. I'm not a top laner. I feel like Mordekaiser would lose into Mbessa just because Mordekaiser's skill shots are something that Mbessa can get through. But Mordekaiser does have that X factor that as soon as somebody dives onto your carries, as you said, they're out of the fight. So imagine Mbessa ulting onto your backline, Mordekaiser just takes Mbessa, or like Mordekaiser takes Ari, or Mordekaiser takes his Nocturne, and you just kill off the damage, right? ATS doesn't really have a front line; they just have a lot of dive damage. So if they can't kill somebody, I'm sure that, or as you said, Oriana, Xin Zhao, the dopamine buttons, you just hit R and then they wipe them.
Yep. And it is really important that ETS has to stack their CC correctly because honestly, the most vulnerable you're going to see this Zaya is as she's landing from her R. Zaya's R
Mm-hmm.
mobility, her ability to kind of move and defend herself properly, is actually quite terrible once she's in the air. Yes, she's invulnerable, but it's not a Vlad pool where you're just zooming around as fast as you want. You take a pretty big hit to your move speed and your ability to maneuver. So it's really important
Mm-hmm.
about like what are we using to force Zaya into the air past this like
Yeah.
Alistair and Mordekaiser CC, and then what are we using to finish her off when she lands? It's kind of the same thing with Ori. When is Ori going to be most vulnerable in these kind of later fights? It's right after Zanya's ends because she's a literal sitting duck. Once she's out of it, and if you can time and execute correctly, you can kill her. However, it might be something like Nautilus presses R on a champ. They use either Zanya's or Zaya's R to get in the air or go golden. Um, and then it's how can we go on after? How can we lay our CC after to make sure we get the kill? Because if ETS kind of dives in and actually doesn't pick up the kill they're looking for, the fights for them can get very ugly very quickly. They're quite bursty and divey, and once that initial volley goes off, Waldo's can do a lot of work on the backswing.
Yeah, my thinking is that you probably just want to go for the Oriana as much as possible, just because
Mm-hmm.
Zaya has obviously like tools to get out,
Yeah.
especially before like Oriana gets cleansed. Now, if you look at how ETS actually wants to dive, you have your Nautilus ult as a point and click, and then you have your Nocturne as a point and click, but then he has to basically stay in range for the fear. Everything else is a skill shot.
Yeah.
Now from Waldo's perspective, they have three people that can be the front line for Zaya Oriana, and most of ETS's skill shots are, I'd say, like short to mid range. So
Yeah.
like you're trying to hit Oriana or Zaya with like an Ari charm or like a Nautilus hook, that's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
So it actually will come down to they're gonna just have to press their ultimates and go in on the right timer. Now, what that timer actually looks like, that is what I want to see because on paper, if ETS gets mid prio and they're able to take jungle control, then Waldo's is going to have to walk in. Their front line is going to have to be chunked before they can even get into the fight. But we have seen that Waldo's jungle and support are very active on the map. They're looking to make plays early. They're looking to take vision control early. So, in my opinion, ETS is gonna have their work cut out for them because Nocturne from behind and Nocturne without vision is really difficult. Like if Nocturne gets engaged on, Nocturne's ultimate is kind of useless. So ETS really needs to make sure that they're getting control, because if they lose control, it's going to be hard to dive into Waldo's if they know where you're coming from. Most of the threat that ETS has is they don't, if Waldo's knows where ETS is coming from, Waldo's will be prepared. So that's kind of what I'm looking out for. Like, how are they actually playing the map, and especially for some of these mid to late game fights.
Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. It's going to be very interesting. One thing I want to see out of Waldo's is you are not a forcing team here. You're not the team that's pressuring. Waldo's, we saw last series get into a lot of early game fights that were not very great for them, and it caused them a lot of grief in the early game. So they do need to be solid, because the last thing you want, the only thing that's worse than an Mbessa jumping your backline is a Fed Mbessa jumping your backline, or a Fed Nocturne jumping your backline. And they have Ari, who's actually not very great in lane versus Orianna until she hits 6. So the longer you can keep your foot down on that Ari and let Ori control the lane the way she wants to, the better. So they need to be, and Xin Shao's clear speed is not particularly good, especially if it's AD Xin Shao. So he needs to be kind of very cognizant of, like, where's this Nocturne going? Where can I get my moves in? And how will I play around this to make sure we don't bleed too much early game?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of early game, I want to make sure something I want to bring up before we cut to break, while we wait for the delay, is we've seen Waldo's do some freaky stuff level 1 with some like invades, with some vision control. We've seen Xin Zhao do a top quadrant into a bot invade. So just watch out for that. As soon as we come back, just like watch out to see what these guys are planning.
Yeah. Nautilus is very detrimental to that plan, though, because Nautilus can turn a early invade that doesn't go right into a kill very easily. Nautilus has some of the most CC kind of in the early game, because it's just point and click, I root you, and he has the hook as well. So presumably ETS watched the last series and scouted, so we might see actually a very sharp kind of early game kind of dance around the early vision, with Waldo's kind of pushing to see where they can go, and ETS trying to defend or even counterpunch. It'll be very interesting to see kind of how much scouting has been going on here.
Absolutely.
Any final thoughts? Let me put it this way. Who do you think has this game? Just be honest, even if it's a 51-49.
I'm gonna give it to Waldo's. I was humbled last time in the Akasha Waldo series. I predicted Akasha was gonna win. Sorry, Yelk. But Waldo's has shown that they have potential if they can do the right things, and so I'm gonna give. I think Waldo's gonna win.
That's super fair. And if Waldo's plays the way they did game 2 and 3, I do think they win. The only thing is, are we getting Dr. Waldo or Mr. Hyde here? Because Mr. Hyde is going to get ran over by ETS, and it will not look particularly close. I will say, if you watch game 1 and it's a stomp, do not expect the same thing game 2 and 3, even though the beginning of game 2 was a stomp. It was literally a series of 2 halves. Games 1 to 1.5 to 2, like 0.5, halfway through game 2. And then the rest of it was completely Waldo's pilled. So Waldo's really needs to play their game here if they want to win. They cannot afford to give up the early stupid kills that they were giving last time. This is an ETS comp that will punish like bad early aggression. So I really want to see them, yes, play that nice jungle, like sharp jungle aggression that you have been playing, but be intelligent with where you're fighting and pick your fights really judiciously. Like, there's no reason to give up early stuff here. You have a Xayah, you have an Orianna, you have a lot of late game damage. Like, you can make this work. So, yeah, I'd say I'm a little bit Waldo's favorite here after they humbled the heck out of me last stream I had. But I could definitely see it going ETS's way, 100%.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to see what happens here. I'll have to wait to get into game, though.
Yep. Guys, we got about 1 minute left. We are going to take a quick break. If you want to get any water, any popcorn before the game gets started, now is the time. Because, well, it's about to start. And I cannot wait to see what happens. But for now, we will be right back. Hello, my friends. The music is off, and you know what that means. It is time for League of Legends. Seeing a little bit of early action out of Zinchao, but it looks like for Waldo's at the start, we will just see a 5-point. Very, very interesting.
Yeah, we just see defensive vision now. It's they're not looking for anything crazy. I think both teams know that this is kind of a do or die. They don't want, especially game one of a do or die series, so they don't want to do anything too crazy here. So we're gonna see standard jungles doing a top to bot clear. You're gonna play for Drakes. We'll have to see how the initial scuttle plays out. I'm expecting maybe Orion to get prio for that scuttle. I don't think the spectator should ever look top, but you know.
Can't control right AI as we see an engage on a Monkey. Gets caught by Nautilus. Nautilus walking back. The Ignite is popped. However, Monkey will just walk away. They don't have enough damage, but that is a beautiful trade as we see an early advantage out of the Nautilus. He's just paying off a tiny bit.
Yeah, that was a really good trade, good find by the Nautilus. We traded both heal and ignite, but that's obviously good for the ignite because it's on a lower cooldown. It means that Kai'Sa Nautilus is going to get prior, they're going to shove in the wave. So good early skirmish in the bot 2v2 to get some kind of a lead, but even before the junglers get there.
We're also seeing Duckling using a lot of like early headbutt, which means that Nautilus is actually feeling after those headbutts. That's when he's most empowered to try a Q, because the worst thing you can do as Nautilus is Qing, get headbutted immediately away. That just means you take a lot of damage for not a lot of benefit. So gotta be really careful about when you're using your abilities here as Alistar, as it can go wrong very quickly.
What I find so interesting is that Nocturne actually did a bit of a different clear. He did Wolves into... Wait, it looks like Wolves into Gromp into blue? Yeah, it was a bit of, but he still matches the same clear speed as Zen.
Really big on timers here. The only problem is if you want to start an AoE camp, because Nocturne has the passive, right? You want to start an AoE camp like Chickens, let's say. But if you do Chickens red and then you go into your Krugs, you actually delay the timer of your outer minion spawns. You can see the Nocturne when you do. So if you go something like Wolves Gromp Blue, when you come back to your topside jungle, you're actually going to have perfect timings on... Oh my gosh, as we see a flash out of Nautilus, he's running away, Monkey trying to go in, and he gets the kill!
Yeah, I was gonna say like there's a whole fight happening. Alistair, I don't even remember what happened in the fight, and then I was just died. That's unfortunate. That means Waldo should be able to get that scuttle, as we see Xin already skipping to blue buff to get to the scuttle. Nocturne's gonna have to go for top scuttle at that point.
Yeah, and when your laner dies, there's no reason you should be hanging around there. Mbessa coming back a little bit in this top lane. We were seeing Mbessa under a ton of pressure early, which is not too surprising. When she doesn't have all of her abilities, she is quite weak. Kaisa forced to farm under tower, but it looks like it's going to be all for naught as Monkey and Duckling just take an advantageous back timer.
Yeah, this is interesting. I'm still looking at the jungle situation because I think the pathing clear is a little bit different. Nocturne's going for top scuttle, and then Nocturne should go for his top quadrant. Oh, he's going to reset. No, he is going to go for top quadrant.
See, and this is where the payoff comes, because you're going to walk exactly to Gromp, exactly to Wolves, and you actually get the timing. Even though it didn't matter as much, let's say you had taken that bottom scuttle, that means you're perfect timing to back and walk right to your camps. And if you walk through the mid lane, you actually walk mid and up to your camps, and you get a really nice timer, because when you're playing these jungles, it's the tiny advantages. You're on a really quick timer to try and make sure you can get the better smite before the other guy can. If you can, you're actually at a massive advantage. And if you look at Nocturne right now, he's actually clearing faster than Xin Xiao. Xin Xiao just connected with his minions. You can see Nocturne's backing after taking his stuff, and his minions haven't even spawned yet, so he'll get a really nice timing on these chickens.
Yeah, it's honestly heads up play by Nocturne. So far, like, it's really small, but that adaptation is something that I keep wanting to see how this Nocturne plays out the rest of the game, because I do think this Nocturne is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Because Nocturne also, because he reset after his top quadrant, it means that he has a larger item spike over the Xin Zhao for the spot potential Drake.
Kosi's in a massive amount of trouble here, as a public execution might come out. He has not hit 6 yet, and there is a ton of harass coming out from Mbessa. You cannot be that close when you do not have 6 yet.
We pulled the Orion down.
Ooh.
We're not skipping the Krugs. That means neither jungle is going to be level 6
kind of
just
clicking.
yet.
Alistair's kind of walking into what might be a gank here. However, Ori has first rotation as she does make it in. Ori does get a charm up, but a beautiful pulverize into headbutt from Alistair to connect another Nautilus kill. As it looks like the dragon is going to be ceded to Waldo's Weirdos, as we are seeing the Duckling effect. Duckling was kind of had an up and down last series. They actually are a great support, and the roaming is great as well. As we see the public execution on Mordekaiser. Mordekaiser still has the ult, and it looks like, yes, it looks like he is going in for the kill, but he does not pop he popped it already. Did not see the effect, but he was actually in the ult and got killed by Mbessa. Unfortunately, he just gave up a little too much, and even with his early armor items, he's dying. This is looking really rough for Kosi here.
Yeah, starting with that bot play, I think this Nautilus, I think what Nautilus needs to do is wait for his team to be a little bit closer. He's trying to contest vision without Ahri and Nocturne right in the tri-brush, ready for engage. So it was good heads-up play by Waldos to realize that they had a bit of a tempo lead, and they could just look for a quick pick, especially with the Nautilus Slash being down from the previous play. Now, for the top play, this is kind of what I saw. I know Mbessa has a lot of high cooldowns early, but she has a lot of mobility to get around a lot more Kaiser's abilities, so it's nice to see that like the Mbessa is actually utilizing her kit for that solo lead, because it looks like the rest of ETS.
Oh, Nocturne onto Mordekaiser, and he knows the Mordekaiser has absolutely no ult. The spell shield on the E makes sure that he is guaranteed dead, and now Mordekaiser is gonna be put onto that unfortunate job of being an ult bot. He's not ulting somebody to get a kill and push your team's lead. He's instead ulting as like a 5-head Vi ult, where you're just trying to force a 4v4, and you hate being in that position as a Mordekaiser. It's just very uncomfortable, because you're not holding your lane as well as you want to, and you give over the proactivity to Mbessa.
So one thing I want to call out is that Nocturne ulted as soon as he could, and now he's going to put his ult back on cooldown, and it turned into a kill. If you guys are watching this and you are playing, if you're a jungle, oh
my goodness. Oh, what a beautiful Nautilus hook, as B goes in a ton of trouble to force the flash away. Unfortunately, comes to naught, but that is a beautiful flash. We were saying Orianna is one of the most vulnerable people in this game. The Nocturne ult will be up way before that Orianna flash comes back, and now Orianna will be feeling pressured every wave she goes to take mid.
Yeah, okay, I think we might have a little bit of time. One thing I wanted to mention is that when you're playing a jungler that has a high impact ultimate, you need to be cycling your ultimate as often as possible. Like, too often I see Nocturnes go to like level 8 or level 10 until they use their first ult. Nocturne, as soon as he hit level 6, he resets, went for a top play, and now he can sequence his camps back down, which means his ult is going to be up in like another, I don't know, 45 seconds or so. So really good heads up play by Nocturne to utilize that ult advantage. And then obviously we saw the mid play, really good roam by Nautilus up to blur the Orianna flash. If I'm Nocturne, that's where I'm looking next.
Yes, absolutely. And you're either looking there, you're looking bot, because that's kind of where you're naturally being led. But I would be staring at that Orianna and looking for her going past. Now we see the Waldo's Weirdos special, an early jungle invade. However, it's been sniffed out by the Nocturne. Ahri is down here, but Ori is also... This is not exactly the fight you want, as again, Nautilus is picked off by a beautiful King Duckling headbutt pulverize combo, and there is nothing for Nautilus to do. He's just dead. A beautiful flash from Alistar, and by the way, Alistar has Unsealed Spellbook. He'll swap that flash out with something useful. You can see he has TP.
Yeah, I think so far we're seeing a very stark difference in the support gameplay. I think King Duckling is doing a really good job just finding those angles, making sure that whenever he's going in, his teammates are behind him for the plays. Already a 3-kill bot lane, or 3, I guess, KP for the bot lane of Waldo's.
And you're kind of seeing the issue where Ahri was walking around that long side of red because Ori took the space, and Nautilus was just farther up than his team was allowing him to be. We're saying these catches are not like a potential mechanical outplay. It's you're too far up and your team's not there to back up.
Exactly.
So you're getting isolated into an outnumbered fight and killed. So you need to be really careful as Nautilus here. You cannot afford to bleed more kills because you're kind of a pressure team. And right now you're watching the Grubbins fall down to Waldo's as they're getting everything they want early game.
Yeah, they utilize the tempo that they get from the support pick to have their Alistar instant reset and then play for a topside neutral objective, especially knowing that Nocturne is probably going to be on red on that timer. So good macro, good kill into a macro advantage by side of Waldo's. Getting a neutral off. Now the next neutral is the Drake, and we're going to have everybody basically at full force, all summoners, all ultimates, at least on the side of ETS. So if I'm ETS, I really am looking to try to contest this Drake.
Yeah, and I think there was a chance... I don't know, it might be a little too bad for like his pathing. Nocturne actually had a little bit of time there to potentially make something happen in Orianna, but now the trade is going to go through seamlessly. However, there is an imbalance in the bot lane. You can see a lot of Waldo's players is there. Mordekaiser, I believe, is on the Mbessa again, but Mbessa doesn't really care. He does send her to Brazil, but the public execution forces a flash. We're seeing a TP. Mbessa still stuck in Brazil as a TP comes in. Alistar comes in with the enhanced move speed off the rim, but unfortunately, he's just a little too far away. And we are seeing summoners blown just to try and let this Mordekaiser have a playable lane as the command shockwave pulls in Ahri, but unfortunately nothing comes of it. I believe Miko was just a little bit too low on mana there.
Man, this is a complete support difference. Like, the fact that Alistar is able to get a kill on Nautilus, transition that into a topside neutral, then walk bot to ensure that we have a bot neutral, and then TP top to save a weak side play, it's just... This Alistar's everywhere.
Oh no, Nocturne is coming in. The Nocturne paranoia comes in, but it's a beautiful disengage from the Alistar as he just stops Felfis cold. As he's like, nah, I'll protect my Mordekaiser there. Not only is the support diff in stopping one weak side play, he stopped two.
That is so crazy. Like, this Alistar, like, I don't know if he was on... It looks like it was warded, so like, I guess Nocturne knew that Alistar was there. Yeah, this Alistar is definitely making his presence known on the map. This makes me concerned for ETS's mid game if they're not going to have any control to make these plays. So we talked about, right? Like, if Nocturne gets invaded on in the mid game and he doesn't have a jungle and they don't have first move to objectives, diving onto their backline is still doable, but you might be fighting an uphill battle. So far, Waldo's leading the early game on 2 Drakes and Grubs is going to be something that is definitely felt by ETS for a long time, especially since Nocturne's second ultimate basically fizzled. So they're kind of getting behind, and I would say it's a pretty, like, mid-game heavy comp.
Yeah, very true. And it's honestly a ton of credit to Duckling here. Duckling, I remember, had beautiful Renata Glass goals in one of the games, but she got caught out a few times. This time with Alistair, he can afford to just be a little more freeform. Monkey's not actually like going for a pressure lane here, so and he's been farming it out very well while Nautilus has kind of been trapped around the bot lane, and it's just been beautiful play out of Duckling. And Xin Xiao is like Bing chilling right now. Dude's just taking all his camps, wandering around, just making sure he's on the right side of the map for his team to make plays. But you can see how pressured this Nocturne is. Look at the CS difference. Nocturne is still taking camps. Xin Xiao's stuff's all taken. He's got time to spare because he's just been hard clearing.
Yeah, looks like Xin Xiao's gonna look for a bot play. I don't know how much it's going to be available since the wave is pushing
See the
out.
angle from Alistair. Ton of trouble for Nautilus. They've shown they're not scared of trying to kill this Nautilus, and the beautiful feathers were put in front of the Nautilus. He had nowhere to walk. However, Nocturne is coming in. Nautilus is taken out, and that was an offensive Xayah ult, which means Nocturne can get in. However, he just jumps into the killing house as he is blown up immediately. Double TPs come down. However, Mordekaiser might be farther up than he wants to be, as Bess is just standing there waiting for him to go. However, the charm does not connect, and I believe the fight ends here.
Small nitpick, I don't think the Mordekaiser needed to TP there, but other than that, really good play from Waldo's, finding the pick onto the Nautilus in the worded bush. Then, you know, when Nocturne, you can't, I don't think Nocturne should go in after that point. I think you just kind of accept that it's kind of over. Really good Orianna shockwave to pull the Nocturne back to get the kill. Just really good fighting, really good target selection. Waldo's definitely has a massive lead now.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're seeing, like, it feels like Nocturne is like a day late and a dollar short. He's like there for the play, but just not close enough. It's the kind of all of ETS, it's just not exactly close enough. As we see the Duskblade go onto the Xayah, and a beautiful flash as Nautilus is killed again. Waldo's has done their homework. They have found the guy that feels pressured to push up so far, and they are just killing him again and again and again.
Yeah, this is Waldo's game to lose at this point. Like, I don't think there is a world where ETS can contest any objective. Like, if you're ETS at this point, you have to realize that their team is really, really fed, and you can't really fight any even number fight. You have to cross map and go for picks. It might be a little too late because Waldo's has gotten 4 neutral objectives so far, but you kind of have to look for something on the other side of the map from this point on.
Absolutely true. It's just so rough. You can look at the bright side though. Setsunai is not getting a bunch of kills, but they are just chilling at this point. Like they are just farming out, and they're in a slight CS lead for all that matters when Xayah has 4 kills. But you know, stick to the plan of protecting your bot lane and trying to make it work is what I'd say if you're ETS, and be willing to give up a few more things. This will definitely be a fight from behind.
They end up using the Herald to break the mid T1 and to get tempo for the next upcoming Drake. Yeah, Waldo's was heavy poised to just kind of take this. I do not think ETS can look for this at all.
I don't like them even hanging around here. Like, make a play on the opposite side of the map. I don't know why Nocturne's even here.
They're already here. So they needed to have set up for a top side play and basically communicated they want to give it the neutral. But it looks like they are just going to go for a fight here.
This might be like a death blow fight if it doesn't work out. Nautilus gets the hook. However, the headbutt comes out immediately from Alistair to stop him in his tracks. The Foxfire and the Charm comes out from Ari, but Alistair says, no thank you, I'd like no ults. And now you've just wasted a massive amount of time in CS contesting a dragon that was unfortunately uncontestable.
Yeah, it's just you can't fight those, and I think you have to realize that, and you have to make a topside play instead. But that requires a lot of heads up. So like, yeah, it's gonna be tough. From one saving grace I will say from ETS's side is that this is the time that their comp should technically be winning, because they have a lot of map control and they have a lot of single target pick damage. This is where the comp shines, is they just find one person like pushing out a side wave or something and then you get a kill. But if you aren't going to be able to do anything from basically now until minute 20 to minute 25-ish, I think the game is done.
Yeah. And on the bright side too, Mbessa is like massive. She is very strong right now. If you can get her involved in plays and involved in catches, like you can pop somebody like a balloon. We haven't seen it because Mbessa hasn't gotten exactly the fights that she wants, but she is so dangerous right now. And she's laning against her perfect target, an Orianna who has the beginnings of a Seekers, but nothing more than that.
Yeah, Seeker second item. If I was Orianna, I would probably do the same thing. They kind of need to look for this Orianna right now. Like, I like that Waldo's immediately swapped their lane assignments for this next neutral. It's still up in like 2 minutes, so you still have a little bit of time. And you saw Orianna was playing super safe. Like, didn't have like super control, knows that she's gonna invest us. She just stays under turret, waits for the wave to come back into her. So even though Orianna is probably the best play for them to make, Orianna is also not giving them that play. So good of good of Waldo's to realize where they're strong and what they need to play to.
Also massive for Mordekaiser. You know, he bled out a little early, and it feels like he counterpicked himself just a little, but he's within 10 CS, and you're Mordekaiser. You're just going to pop someone, the most useful person that you need gone. You're just going to take him to Brazil with you and waste their time. And you can see he's already pivoted to building a lot of tank items to make sure when he sticks someone in Brazil, they are stuck, as we see an Alistar and Xin Shao flank. And this might be the correct angle for Alistar. However, Ahri just pops ult and gets away. But you do stop the Spirit Rush from Ahri from being available for this next play.
Yeah, that is kind of big. Like, I guess it's hard to make a play in Mbessa, and Waldo is doing the absolutely right thing of not trying to kill the Mbessa. You're probably not going to kill the Ahri, but burning the ult out means that Mordekaiser should be able to get a little bit more push into that bot lane. We see Mordekaiser finally complete his first item. Alright, it's at the 19-minute mark.
And again, that's struggling, but he's not going to lose the game for his team here. You know, he's doing exactly what he needs to do. Sometimes you're just weak side Willy. That's okay. As we see Nocturne get way too far up without his team here. Unfortunately, the buffered Orianna shockwave doesn't work out, but Nocturne is still dead. The Crescent Guard has not come out from Xin Shao yet, so he is free to walk. And Mbessa does get there first, but where the heck is your team, bro? This is a 4v5, as Mbessa's just forced to walk away. Feels like the TPs were popped for basically nothing, and now you are in a really awkward position as ETS.
Yeah, Mbessa kind of just wants.
Oh my gosh, Kai'Sa's been caught by the feathers from Xayah as a beautiful headbutt pulverize comes in. Unfortunately, Mordekaiser is not there fast enough. The public execution does go off. Monkey is forced to walk away as Mbessa tries to jump in. However, the rest of the team is there. And where is your backup, Mbessa? They're not here yet, as Mordekaiser gets probably the tastiest revenge kill he could have thought of. And now the Baron's looking very takeable for Waldo's Weirdos.
Yeah, really good. So, like, to break it down, it all started when Nocturne died, trying to contest bot side control, but Waldo's obviously was there and ready. Like, they're really good at taking control of the enemy jungle when they're allowed to. Kills the Nocturne, extends the fight, and they were looking to go for the Baron even before that mid-fight happened, but then because Xayah found a really good chunk onto Kai'Sa, they found an extended play angle. They took that play, they won that play, and now the Baron is just completely taken. So from ETS's side, it really is, you just have to give up every turret. Like on ETS's side, one thing that you have going for you is that you haven't lost any of your outers yet. So you can use the fact that Waldo's wants those outers to trade a cross map for a different outer for like an objective bounty or something. But like this is like, you know, pulling at straws. I mean, just look at the vision score difference. It's 58 to 90. Look at the 050 to 008. Like this is definitely supportive through and through.
It's really true. And I think the other part is that the Nocturnes really failed to launch, and Xin Shao hasn't felt any pressure. Basically, your jungler was Alistar this game. He's just been wandering around doing what he needs to do. Xin Shao's just been free farming, and he is massive right now. It's a 2-item Xin Shao, and Nocturne like hasn't even finished boots and hasn't finished his second item yet. It's not looking pretty.
Yeah, good play. Honestly, dude, Waldo's in such a good position. They took that mid wave and they're going to contest the Drake because they don't have to give it up. Yep. They also could just give it up for mid and top control, but at this point, it's just so hard. How's ETS?
Look how far back Setsunai is, too. Setsunai is not in the fight yet. I do not know if Waldo's knows, but they're looking for an angle to engage. We see the E land onto Xayah, so Xayah's a little chunk. Nocturne goes in, but a beautiful take on Alistar. The public execution goes in on Monkey. Monkey's in a ton of trouble as Mbessa gets onto the backline. Unfortunately, Mbessa gets blown up, and it is a massive win, a fight from Waldo's Weirdos as Kai'Sa is just Benny Hill running away. Unfortunately, she gets caught. Does she trade off for Miko? No, it doesn't happen. As Xin Shao's like, oh yes, please, sir, give me another. As he picks up the free Ahri kill. Ahri had popped Spirit Rush and was completely out of things to do.
Yeah, it was honestly not an awful look. It was probably the best type of fighting I've seen from ETS today. They're just kind of walking together. They do find a nice angle for a Kai'Sa to get ult onto the backline. They do trade one. They get a shutdown off of it, I'm pretty sure as well.
Yes.
But that's the consolation prize. Like that's one shutdown for a soul. And Waldo still has Baron. They're going to take another bot T1, or at least bot plates. It's if I'm ETS here, I probably am just thinking, what picks can I get? Or I don't know, go next. It's so
you need
tough.
to be
Like
you need to be thinking, if you're ETS here, you need to be thinking, what can I do to punish all this roaming that Alistar's doing? If I'm looking as ETS, I'm picking a pressure lane and not letting King Duckling walk around as much as he wants to. You need something like a Brand or Xerath or Lux or whatever that's going to harass the bejesus out of Monkey, because you cannot let him get a lane where it's comfortable for him to 1v2 on you. Unfortunately, he was way too comfortable farming as Alistar walked around and won the game.
I think it's. Is there a fight here?
Oh my gosh.
Makings of a fight. We can talk
Oh,
about
how
after
the
this.
mighty have fallen as Imbessa just gets harassed under her tower by this big chunky Mordekaiser. We see Duckling walking in for what appears to be the millionth time, but it's a really nice route to stop him from getting the engage he wants. But again, they're just pushing, taking vision, and just ruining ETS's ability to make good counterplays. I mean, look at this. They have nothing in their own blue side.
I guess one small critique is I don't think you should play. I think they wanted to send 5 people for the top inhib or top T1. I don't think that's correct. I think you want to keep Mordekaiser weak sided and then just do a like just control bot side. Do 4 people bot, 1 person top, and then just play for the bot T2. But at this point, you can kind of do whatever and just get away with it. It's just really tough. Like. I one thing to say about the support matchup early is that I do think that this matchup is at least not it's not as bad as it looks. Like I think Nautilus Alistar is playable from both sides. I think it's just that the Nautilus was looking to do things at times he shouldn't have been looking to do those things, and then Alistar found good angles to punish that. So
yeah, and then it was so unplayable for Nautilus after the first couple kills. Like, what is he doing? You know what I mean? It's just very tough. And that's just something you need to be talking about. Like, how are we going to stop this in game 2? Because we've seen King Duckling can look very human. If you're able to put King Duckling into a reactive stance instead of proactive, you can get a lot of work done. But unfortunately, they just let Duckling run wild this game.
Yeah, I mean, it's 10 kills up, 6k up, 4 Drakes, Herald, I think, and Grubs, and now it's coming up on the next Baron, which... If I was Waldo's, the way that I'd be looking to close this game out is you take the Baron, you break an inhib, and then you use that inhib pressure to go for Elder, and then ETS is in an impossible state.
Yes, absolutely true. As they look to be doing just that, getting their vision, setting up the tempo for them to take everything they need. Yep, beautiful lane assignments. Bessa stuck in there with Mordekaiser. We've seen Mordekaiser's not nearly as weak as he was, and Bessa has almost no pressure against him as they take the vision away from ETS and reestablish their dominance in the top side. Oriana's wave's coming to crash, however, Monkey has to walk back to mid to take care of the mid wave, and Alistar keeps looking, and he can't even jump on him if you're Waldo's. Like, what do you do?
Yeah, this is a little bit of miscommunication. Looks like they wanted to play for the top T2, but that means Monkey can't go for that mid wave. That mid wave means that Kaisa is able to get mid T1 trade. So they just get a little bit of gold back. But I think the fact that Waldo's has so much vision control and they're utilizing vision and tempo just super effectively. I mean, you saw that there were so many wards basically right at the buff, like where the buffs are, basically the entire game. So good heads up vision by Duckling the entire game, honestly.
Yeah, really, really well played. And there's 13 kills Waldo's has. Guess how many Alistar's been in? 13.
Yep.
Dude is going ham. It's so well played. As it just feels like ETS is choked out away from the Baron. And so they take care of their mid wave, they'll set up some vision, and then start walking towards that Baron.
Yeah, this should be a clean Baron take. They have really good vision control. Alistar could just stop anybody from walking into the pit.
Yep,
it's really just gonna be a question of what do they do off of that.
Yep, Nautilus is walking up, and unfortunately Alistar's not on the right side to prevent a Nautilus from going in. However, I just think they're too weak. I don't know if they can do this. This looks really tough. However, the fight is going to start. Nautilus gets the pull on Alistar. That's the last person you want to pull. The TPs are coming in. However, it feels like the fight is already cooked as Nocturne goes in. Yes, please, I want to fight. No, thank you. Is forced to flash out. And finally, Duckling comes in, headbutts him back. A beautiful public execution. Unfortunately, Oriana has Zanyas, and I think this fight is going to lead to GG.
Yeah, good Baron bait by Waldos forces ETS to make a decision of making a cross map or walking in. Obviously, if they're walking, they're gonna die. I think the Nautilus just walked in head first, queued the Nautilus point blank, and then just died. I think, and then also wanted to get out of the game.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
good play by Waldos.
I think it's just a go next angle. You were too far behind, and you had a team that actually wanted to be ahead mid game. That really wanted to spike mid game, and just being behind like that is just unplayable. Unfortunately, his Nautilus might go down again. The poor guy is 8 of the 18 deaths. That's gotta feel bad. Duckling survives. He's not even punished for his nonsense as he headbutts Kaisa away. Does he finally die? Oh, they've had. Hey, we got one. We got one. That's worth.
Got one.
Everybody
the
gets one.
consolation prize.
Oh my. Wow, that was not how I was expecting it to go at all.
Yeah, I think that ETS. I think the weak link of ETS is definitely their support, and I think what they need to do. I think in most of ETS's victories, I could be wrong, but I think most of the at least times I've seen ETS have a competitive performance, or at least they win, is when their support's on enchanters, which makes sense. Like you can get a lot done without having to feel the pressure of like being your primary engage. So I want to see in draft 2 that the support is on more of an engage style, and then the jungler. I think everybody else played really well. I think the mid lane situation, I think maybe could have been slightly better, but obviously ETS's top played really well. Sets and I obviously played really well. I actually was a fan of what Nocturne did for the most part. So I think it's as simple as like if you draft for a bot lane that kind of can neutralize and go even in scale, I think they'll be able to play the rest of the game because the game was very hard right from the start.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys, we're going to take a really quick break to make sure everybody can be back in draft. Won't be too long, hopefully. I got to get everyone set up. But man, we are going into game 2, and it does feel like we do not have Mr. Hyde. We definitely have Dr. Waldo. So this is going to be a great, great series. Any closing thoughts before we take a break?
I want to see 3 games. I want to see ETS win game 2, guys. Come on.
Come on, absolutely. Let's see a few ETS. Give them your spirit, give them your energy. They absolutely need it. However, we will be right back. We're going to set up with everyone, get the drafter set up, and then we will be going right into draft number 2. Hello, my friends. We are back. The draft is just about to get started. We are waiting for ETS to finish up a few small things. However, there is a ton to talk about for this draft. It is super important for ETS to come in with a game plan. You cannot let that happen to you again. So, certainly, they have some things kind of in the playbook ready to go. Um, Chaos, if you're ETS, what are you thinking right now?
If we're ETS, I want to see a different style of draft. I personally don't think the Nautilus support worked, and I feel like the support would be better if they played Enchanter. At that point, you don't draft a dive comp, you draft more of a front to back comp. You're going to draft
Mhm.
something more akin to like a Yunara Melio with like an Orin tops and like I don't know, like a Mumu jungle or something like that. Like something that can control space and allow Setsunai to kind of do what they want. Now, if they're going to do that, we'll have to see, and I think Waldos can play a bunch of different styles. So I will be looking just in general to see what the comp is. I'm not looking for any specific picks because I think we have the same blue side red side. Like ETS is gonna be first pick here. I expect the bands to be the same. So it's really just how are you gonna play your picks is what I'm looking for.
Yep. I do think picking a front to back comp, like, okay, we played dive, it didn't work. Let's just try a classic front to back. Let's play get Setsunai on a really nice hyper carry and just let Setsunai do Setsunai things because Setsunai was actually great that game. It was really unfortunate. They were just too far behind to really make the game work for them, but they were actually playing really like sharp, clean, to not get caught very often. So I see a lot of potential in that bot lane to make something work. You just cannot let Waldos run wild like they did last game.
Yeah, you definitely want to try to go even as much as you can, and don't give them angles to fight. Like we know that Duckling wants to play these engage type supports, so
Mhm.
try to deny them. I still think that Duckling is probably going to still be able to find the engages that he wants for his team. Yeah, I just want to see what they're going to pick here. I'm assuming the Ash ban here. I want to see like I don't know, like a Yunara or something.
Yeah. Yeah, pick a hyper character.
Okay.
And oh, the Prophet strikes again. Yanara does get picked. What are you thinking? We can also wait for the Waldo's picks. What are you thinking as support for her?
As a support for Yunara, it should be draft specific. I don't know how often they drop the supports pick. I'm just looking at some of the previous drafts. They typically draft support on two, so I probably expected to see support pick coming out here. I think Lulu's fine. I think Milio's fine. I think Karma's fine. Just some kind of enchanter that you can blind. That's good. From a Waldo's side, I was gonna say Quirky is probably a good answer. You could probably get away with anything. And then I know Duckling or Waldo's in general likes to drop support to later, so I'm expecting jungle pick here, and then ETS should be picking like I would say they should pick like Karma or Melia or something on 2-3
Yeah, try to punish the. Yeah, I see
or
where you're
Nami
going
too.
with this. Yeah, yeah. Corky, very nice pick into Yanara. Just puts on a ton of pressure and makes Yanara uncomfortable, which is what you're looking for. It might be also worth just maybe punting your support a bit back. You can see what ETS is going to pick and do something into it, as we do see that the Wukong gets picked out for Arisama.
Yeah, I okay. So please lock in an enchanter. Like I think maybe Karma's good. Ornn is interesting. I really like. Okay, so first off, their draft is already way different from game one. I think
Yeah,
game one ETS drafted really well, but they just weren't able to execute. So this is obviously a very different draft, and they're looking for your front to back comp. Now, I think I would have preferred ETS draft like a Poppy here on 3, but because the Poppy's probably you can go jungle top, but I don't know if it's a flex. So Orin blind is fine here. If I'm Waldo's, I want to see a Poppy ban. I want to see like maybe a Nami here. I think Nami would be a great pick of it. Otherwise, ETS should be looking to try to ban it. Or you can go
that's
Rakan as
fair.
well. Okay, perfect.
Nami is picked, and we've seen a ton of work out of Duckling on Nami. Like, eh, I don't expect to see the same Alistair game I saw last time, but Duckling can put in a lot of work on Nami, so it is going to be another very interesting game. And yes, as we were talking about, let's see what the bans are out of Waldo's Weirdos. The Yasuo taken away.
That's a
Interesting.
weird ban.
You see, I said interesting. You said what I was thinking. That's just kind of weird, but maybe they see something I don't. I understand it's good with Orn, but where's your backup kind of knock up support that isn't Orn?
I think they want Yasu potentially for like Nami ult. Yeah, that bin's kind of weird. Silas tells me that they want to. No, Silas is weird. I wouldn't ban Silas if I was ETS. Galio makes more sense. So like, I wouldn't ban Silas because obviously you probably don't want to pick like a Malphite at this point. You could look to pick like a Swain or something, but like, yeah, we'll see what they round out with. Like, I'm expecting
Nirvana.
Waldo's. Yeah, Shyvana's also interesting. I
Sorry,
guess they
just
don't know what ETS jungler really wants to play, so they're just looking for things that could. Because ETS jungler is probably one of the higher ranking members of ETS, so like the fact that they're dropping the jungle to 4-5 means that they kind of want to play for a jungle that can carry. From
I
Waldo's
see.
perspective, I think you just pick top on 4.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, and you know what? Yep. And ladies and gentlemen, this game will be featuring 200 years of collective game design. Do not show this to my boy. He's going to crash out again as Cassante has entered the rift, and we
Oh.
see Hecarim. Don't tell me it's Hecarim.
No, Hecarim
It
is actually
is.
Hecarim is so good here. Actually, I like this draft. I don't know what ECS can like pick anything on 5. I think here, and I think you just want some AP. That's the only thing.
I think I
But
want like a backline AP, just like throw stuff at.
yeah, I mean you could. I mean Orion's out of the pool. You can go like Victor. You can
I
go. I
was,
mean
yeah, Victor's decent.
Diana
Silas.
Silas. Oh, I love ETS's track. I don't
Oh,
know. Silas ult is Silas already has Wukong Nami. I
yeah.
think Silas stealing Cassandra ult could be good, but I think the Hecarim is just really good. Obviously, Hecarim Karma together is really good. You have your Orn engage. They don't really have a way to stop Hecarim from moving besides maybe like Nami ult, a Nami Q, which is a obviously a skill shot, but then Wukong ult. So like, I think Hecarim can go crazy. They have a really nice comp. I want to see what Waldo's does here. Oh, Cass is good
Cassiopeia.
too. Okay,
Now,
okay.
we have seen Nico on Cassiopeia before, but there is an inherent risk of picking Cassio with Silas because the only thing worse than a Cassiopeia ult is a Cassiopeia ult on a high mobility champion. And wow, they had
Yeah,
us in the first half, not going to lie. I thought they were just going a really traditional front to back, but they just turn it around with Hecarim Silas. And they, unlike last time where you had like the Iron Wall, the Berlin Wall of Alistair, like, guess what? The Soviet Union's fell. There's no more wall here. Your protection for your backline on Waldo's Weirdos is actually very limited right now.
so I will say that I think Cass is like the typical counter into Silas, just because Cass can stop Silas from getting into you. He can't press E and he can't press W, and if he has any dashes on his R, he can't do that either. Also Cass is good. I would say he's pretty good into Hecarim, just because Hecarim is melee range. Like, you're not gonna get like the anti-dash field value that much, but you will be able to slow him. You will be able to basically DPS him down. So from ETS's side, I still think their comp is really, really good. Yes, it's not a dive comp, but yes, it's also not, you're holding your ground like Silas, Hecarim want to go in. But because Silas and Hecarim are kind of like bruisers, they can buy space for Yunara to go front to back. And then from Waldo's side, they don't have a crazy ton of. Actually, no, I will say this. I think Castle is good. I think Asante ult is good to try to like get some of the beefcakes out. My issue is I think ETS at some point will outdamage. I think Hecarim and Yunara and Silas are just gonna be absolute raid bosses when you get to like 3, 4, 5 items. So the longer the game goes, I think the happier ETS is.
That's very true. And if you're ETS, you're just saying to yourselves like, don't bleed too much gold and kills this time. Like it felt like last game they almost felt pressured to like build this lead for themselves because they are like the dive comp. This time not a lot of pressure at all. You have Orn, so all of your champs, everything else equal, will be stronger than theirs because you have Orn items, you have the Orn value. You have a Yanara, who's one of the most dangerous late game ADCs in the game, played and piloted by one of the best ADCs that we've seen kind of in the upper division. So that's a nice bet on a tear. And to be fair, the
Yeah.
last time these two met, Sets and I spent most of that series tearing Monkey apart. Monkey had one good game, but
Yeah.
sorry, I'm getting compliments on my name in chat.
Hmm.
People like puns, but there was the one Senna game where Monkey beat Sets and I pretty bad, but the other two games, Setsunai was just dumping on Monkey and the rest of the team and did a lot of good work. So it's completely it's very playable, and Setsunai can carry you through this. I do like the going back to the basics of getting a really nice, like, even though it's not exactly front to back as you said, you do have a really nice core. You're not feeling pressure to make these early game plays. Maybe you can focus on parrying this kind of early aggression you're probably going to see out of Waldo's Weirdos and making the game work.
Yeah, already like game 2 feels like it's a completely different game, to the point that I can't really look at game 1 as a something to take away from ETS's side, but obviously Waldo's knows what to do from ahead. But this is obviously a very different draft, very different bot lane. I think the game is just going to be completely different. I honestly think that it's going to be ETS is going to have a much cleaner time playing out this game. Now, we'll still see how it plays out, but I think ETS's draft is probably just a. I would give the edge to ETS's draft, but when you put the player names back on, I think Waldo's is probably still going to win. But
I will say if King Duckling gets plays anywhere near where they were last time, I do see a Waldo's win. However, I think if this game goes past like 25-ish 30 minutes, I think it's probably an ETS win, unless it's like completely lost at that point. So yeah, I the problem when I was gassing up ETS last time, and every time I doubt Waldo's Weirdos, they make me very sad. But I'm gonna go against the grain just a little bit, and I'm gonna go for ETS here.
Also, I will say I want ETS to win so we can go 3 games.
That is so freaking true, and at least make it close. I was feeling a little deprived. Yes. The shakes were coming in a little bit. There was not enough fighting and too much depressing.
Yeah, definitely at least make it close so we can see some like really good late game fights. Like, yeah, I do think ETS will be able to do it this time around though.
Yes, last series I was losing my voice screaming so much at Waldo's. I want to see it again. Put up a really good fight and make me sad tomorrow. Like, make it happen, guys. I believe the game has just started. Yep, the picks are getting locked in. We are gonna take a minor break while we wait for the spectator delay and anything, and I cannot wait to go into this second game with you. Any final thoughts before we take a quick break, Chaos?
As always, I just want to get into game. I'm excited.
I know. I'm starting to get the shakes again. Like, give me a team fight like stat.
Exactly.
But yes, we'll be right back. Please take this time, fill up on water, get whatever you need to do done, finish gambling on who's going to win, if that is still being done. And yeah, I cannot wait to see you guys on the Rift. We'll see you in a little bit. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back as the game has started. Yes, those of you who have been itching for League of Legends, that itch is matched as we see an early blue ward onto the Wukong jungle, and Wukong is just forced to put a defensive ward to make sure he doesn't get invaded.
I feel like I can already tell what's going on in ETS's comms. Like, I think the jungler didn't know. I think the jungler game 1 wanted to play more to the team, then he realized that he needs to be the carry. So game 1 he beat blinded Nocturne and they went for 5-point. This time he B4'd Hecarim and now they're going for vision in the Raptor. So already I think the Hecarim is probably going to try to dictate more of the game, especially since now we have an Enchantress support on Tomato. I expect the game to be a lot more jungle centric, and I expect the game to be a lot slower in the early game. Like we saw Alistar Nautilus duking out level 1 and burning his ISMs. So I'm expecting maybe some trades for sure.
Oh, heal
but
comes out of
crazy.
Duckling here as they're getting a lot of evade and they trade heal off. So a lot of damage goes down. Cassiopeia hits 2 first. We are just seeing these scrappy brawls every lane as, oh my goodness, that damage that Dex took was massive.
Yeah, I think bad time for Dex to take that trade, knowing that he didn't have Prio. Cass is going to get level 2, so I think a bit of the fundamentals thing. I see bot lanes using their defensive summoners a lot early, like using your Bear, using your Exhaust, using your heal, just to get like early Prio, get early push, get vision, and stuff like that. Basically, you're trading your
Oh my gosh,
other
Ornn gets
summoner
caught
for
here.
Prio.
There's a ton of trouble for Ornn. He's actually getting walked behind, but he does a ton of damage with the Brittle. And now it's Kosi on the
flash
run to make
auto.
sure he doesn't die.
The
And
flash.
the double flash! Oh my goodness. Oh my, this lane is crazy. And who said nothing happened? Stop! Oh no! Oh no, he disrespected the level up from Cassante. Cassante walks in, turns himself unstoppable, and we see an early ward come on Hecarim. This could be a full-on collapse. Karma comes to defend, but we're seeing more of that Waldo's Weirdo support walking around as they shoved in Yunara.
Yeah, so first thing on the top play, I think this is the most action we'll see out of these top laners. Probably a little bit more, but as soon as they hit their critical item thresholds, like hit a couple levels, probably nothing else is going to happen top. So, you know, get your top action while it lasts, gentlemen. And now for the bot invade, it's your typical, I think it's on here, it's your typical, like, Waldo's Weirdos gets bot lane prio, do a 2-wave crash into red side vision. Now, what we used to see is a risk do a top quadrant into a bot invade, but he didn't do that this time. I can only imagine because Hecarim would beat Wukong early. I feel like Arist only does this on junglers that have a lot of early game pressure. But we did get that vision. We saw that Hecarim is doing
shield,
a
and Monkey jumps in. He is on top of the Yunara. Let it be known, Yunara does not have barrier. And now Silas is getting on top of Cassiopeia. Wukong has to bail her out. Oh my gosh, Cassiopeia's dead. She gives up the early lead to Silas. Does Wukong have enough damage to kill this Silas? As Silas W's off. We see more fighting in the top lane, and it is getting bloody everywhere. Cassante kind of pulls Ornn into a more beneficial situation than he wanted. But get this, Silas got away. And that is just terrible for Cassiopeia's early stranglehold on that lane that she had.
Yeah, so a lot of things to talk about in this short window. So first is that bot play means that Corki and Nami can get a bit of a tempo reset. I think it's good that they took that trade. Now for the mid play, it's interesting because Cassiopeia didn't reset. Silas did reset and didn't TP back. So he had a bit of an item lead and probably was up resources from the early trade. So that solo kill is really nice to get Silas back into a driver's seat in this, lane. And then there's random top fighting.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
If I as an ADC player, I dislike this. I just want my top to just do nothing, man. Just
just chill. Please don't feed. But here's the thing. Cassante just started backing here. Now Ornn has to take the same back with him. He cannot take any tempo or push the lane at all because he's gotten so chunked by that Cassante. So unfortunately for Ornn, it's just a back for both of them, and Ornn likes to stay in lane. And look at the items here out of Cassante.
Casante's super ahead because of that solo. It's
yes.
I'm hoping that nothing more. I don't imagine, like, even if anything does happen top, it's almost like a nothing burger just because Ornn and Cassante are both gonna have good value. Maybe I would say Ornn is Cassante is a little bit more advantaged in trades because he does offer a lot of damage in team fights, especially once he goes all out. But I'm really just looking to see how both teams are playing around this bot. This verse streaks up. We see that Wukong is just about to finish his Gromp. Hecarim is reset, finishing his Krugs, and I'm expecting something to happen bot.
Yeah, it feels like all fates are converging there. Something to consider is that Waldo's Weirdos has a really nice ward in the try. and Wukong is actually unwarded right now, and he gets to walk in not being known. Ornn walks up to an all-outing Cassante. It's like he's begging for something bad to happen, but Cassante misexecutes, and thankfully Ornn gets away with. I mean, he should have been killed. He's still hanging around to get a Q off, as this is a weird dragon play. I don't like it at all. It feels way too forced. Nami ult comes in, and there he is. Silas comes in. Hecarim is unfortunately dead, but Cassiopeia has already been traded off. Yunara is forced to flash, but does get the kill on the Wukong who's diving her, and now you've got an angry Silas who's closed the distance onto your Corki. Silas lands the Q and kills Corki! A beautiful play out of Silas there, as the Ornn horn comes in, but Ornn's on the wrong side of the turret. He knocks up Cassante, but unfortunately Cassante gets another kill as Ornn experiences the collective game design of Riot Inc.
Yeah, like, just stop fighting, man. Like, okay, I think Apolar is definitely the type of player who wants to fight, just by he played Bessa. But I think this is a lane kind of need to neutralize, especially now that your bot's ahead. Now, real quick on that bot fight, we saw Waldo's mid and bot get prio, and they started the Drake. That's good stuff. They were pushed out, which I don't know how that happened. I think Silas flank was kind of threatening. I don't like that Hecarim decided to instantly turn. I think when Waldo's goes out of the pit, ETS takes the Drake. I'm pretty sure that Drake would give Hecarim level 6, and then they can turn with Hex 6. I think this is a bit of a misplay, but it turned out really good for ETS. We have 3 kills on the Yunara on that hyperscaling ADC. Like, this is exactly what I want to see. This is how ETS is going to win. This is how ETS is going. This is their winning formula, is that they get set ahead, and then they play through front-to-back team fights and peel set. This is good stuff.
And that's the thing. If you're Hecarim, yeah, it feels bad that you died in maybe a minor misplay, but guess what? Doesn't matter. Set got kills. We're gaming. Like, this is so playable. Oh no, Duckling's been caught by Hecarim, and Hecarim does have the ult up, does not even need to use it. And now, that's the thing. King Duckling, your roaming is a double-edged sword. Yes, many times it can work out, but sometimes it just gets you killed.
Yeah, I will say that King Duckling is really good on engages. I think his enchanters are... He tries to do the same thing on enchanters, and he gets caught a lot. We saw in that Renata game, right? Most of his enchanters end up in him maybe trying to push the envelope a little too far. So that is probably a really good win con from ETS's side, is that you get the Yunara ahead and you shut down the Nami, and obviously Yunara's going to outskill.
Oh no, Miko's in a ton of trouble here. He's actually getting pinched by Ornn. Gets a beautiful ult off and is going to do a ton of damage to Silas. However, he is getting 4-man, and Miko's just dead off of that, as that is just a really unfortunate play and a bad timing.
That is interesting. So I don't think, obviously, like, your support just died, so they're going to be taking the Drake. You shouldn't be looking for a 1v1. I will say that Ornn walking down and dropping a wave is not expected, so I'll give Miko that. But I think overall you just don't take that fight. You just push in the wave and the reset. Or if you don't push in the wave, you still have to take a reset.
And good on Aris-sama to take some of the jungle away. Just makes a play on the opposite side of the map as that's happening. There's not much more he could do besides that. There was no way he was going to save the play there. So good on him to take a wave away and push in your wave and just get a nice back for your bot lane, as we see Nami roaming around again. Looks like the play is just a vision one, but I just start getting worried now. See Aris-sama get his own blue buff. Everything's working out, and they do clear that tri-brush for it. Probably nothing happening within the next, like, 20 seconds, but that opens up Wukong to clear down and try to force something again.
Yeah, this is really good. We see Yunara just hit Kraken Spike as well. So it looks like I see some pings coming out for the Grubs. I, as an AD carry, do not like it when I am on Kraken Spike and my teammates are playing topside, because that just means Wukong can dive me bot. But as if they don't have a dive opportunity, then getting both neutrals would set them really ahead. Like, this is a very different game from game 1. Like, we're not seeing deep vision, we're not seeing crazy invades, we're not seeing just out mechanics maxing. We're seeing, I would say, pretty good League of Legends from both sides, and ETS coming out ahead.
The only thing I don't like about the Grubs take is that the biggest gold imbalance right now is in your top lane. In terms of you losing. Your biggest gold imbalance in your favor is bot side. I'd be playing around that bot side and just give it up. Like, if they want to waste time and money going for the Grubs, yes, you defend it, obviously, if they're doing a bold take. But you don't exactly want to be, like, playing around it. You want to be playing around this Yunara.
I 100%
She's just
agree.
walking up and free shooting that Corki.
Yep.
That should not be happening, but Seth so fed he can. just if you gotta let it go, let it go. Hecarim is contesting, but look, Hecarim is just forced to walk off the grubs, and nothing good comes out of it. But K'Sante is now all by himself. Where is Wukong on this? Oh my goodness, Wukong is on the wrong side of the map. Wow.
It's kind of hard because Wukong does want to do a clear, and if Hecarim does match, I mean, Hecarim is also an item spy, right? It's Shojin, so like, Wukong doesn't want to play same side of Hecarim. Now, this Grub's take is fine as long as there is no cross-map play available. So, good on them to take the Grub's
it's looking more and more available as it happens, but Arisama doesn't want to walk into Set. Set's just so fed, he walks away. It actually looked like it could have potentially been an opportunity for him there for the bold, but unfortunately, they just don't want it, and now K'Sante continues clapping the horn as we begin to see the big noodle fight. Oh no, Yunara's getting jumped on. A TP's coming down from Silas to try and defend the ADC as it turns into a big nothing burger, and the directing camera was properly looking tough as K'Sante gets killed. Yunara walks back in. Wukong tries to E in and make a play happen out of nowhere, but unfortunately he's dead. We have seen Dr. Waldo. We are now seeing Mr. Hyde as Waldo's is watching the game slip through their fingers.
Yeah, the top play, again, is just kind of a nothing burger. Like, both champions will be kind of useful. It's just kind of fun to watch. My issue with the top plays is that the director camera is going top. Like, the bot play... The bot is really good. So Wukong ended up finding an engage angle into Yunara, but Yunara is super sticky, right? Like, you have ult. I mean, you don't even have to flash there, and then you're going into, like, a Karma, like, W and E. And on top of that, your Corki is not on Item Spike. So, like, that play was super forced. Silas TP's down to contest the play, and now Yunara is just super ahead. Like, if ETS, the way they need to play the rest of this game is very simple. You play around Yunara, you play for these neutrals, you get your mid pry, you take any fights. Hecarim is also really ahead. Everyone on their team is really ahead. You just play how your comp wants to play and you're gonna win. Don't take dumb fights, don't take fights like outnumbered, don't play cross map and neutrals. Just play correct League of Legends and this should be a clean win.
Oh my gosh, look at Corki. He's under so much threat as Yunara's just walking up and slapping him, and Corki hates being in that position.
Yeah, Corki is technically a lane bully, but Yunara is also technically a lane bully, like, if she can get ahead. And it's really hard for Corki to win extended trades, because, like, Yunara just opens W with Q stack, and then Corki has to W away. So, like, I really, like, I'm a Yunara, I basically made that champion, that I feel very comfortable in that matchup, especially when I'm ahead.
Yes, very true. And you're seeing the fruits of their labor bot as now Setsu is so dangerous right now. In all these fights, guess who we're going to be looking at? We're going to be looking at how Setsu's playing the Yunara. The game is gravitating around your best player as ETS, and you have to be happy about that.
No, so like that was another huge chunk. Corki has to reset. Corki has no item. We have bot prio, and we're gonna have mid prio. ETS just should be able to take the second dragon. Now, if Waldo's contests, I think you're gonna lose a lot.
Yeah, unless we see like Karma walk into Wukong and get killed for no reason. Fortunately, the directed camera is really interesting because it thinks Ornn is low and something's gonna happen. It doesn't. But oh, see a good try ward, and they're forced to red it off. And unfortunately, Corki's backing. Does this look like it's going to be a dragon concession from Waldo's
They have to give it up.
They have to.
They have to give it up. That's good. Yeah, Corki had to reset. I mean, Cass used that time to push in a mid wave and get a tempo reset onto Silas. Oh, they're going to extend the play for
getting a
bot
little
invade.
greedy as he is, taking his blue right after dragon comes. Does he smite it away? I believe Urasama got it. And unfortunately, they might be paying dearly for this blue buff. Hecarim's like, yes, I'd like to trade my life for the support. No, he's not. He's instead taking the movement speed and getting out. Ornn TP's down at Monkey's in a ton of trouble. You do not want to be trading your ADC for that top lane, as he is just so chunky. K'Sante has come as well. The backup is here. Ornn does eventually get traded off, and it feels like Silas engaged just a little too hard and got killed. Karma's shield protects Hecarim. Oh no, Cassiopeia got rooted by the Karma E. Yunara's running away. She's got barrier. I don't think K'Sante does enough damage to kill her yet. It looks like Yunara is just going to walk away. However, we see a flank angle from Wukong, and he is perfectly cloned in, and it looks like Setsunai may get killed here. Yes, he does. It is time for Hecarim to run away.
That is a crazy fight. Nami died at the start of that fight, and Nami was part of the second half of that fight. Like, that's how long that fight went. Like,
oh my god.
I have to look back and see like what happened. I feel like Setsuna wasn't there at the start. Maybe he got like ulted out or something. Hecarim like ulting back in and then and killing the Nami, diving the turret, killing the Nami, and then getting out. I felt like the fight was kind of what, especially when Orin kills Corki. I don't know how they lost that fight.
I think
It's
they
a lot of
wanted to,
shutdowns back.
save the Ornn or like try to play around the Ornn play kills. But when Ornn kills the ADC, you're super happy. You're like, oh sweet, that's one of the most important players on their team just died. All right, see ya, I'm out. Like Ornn dies. It was a 1-3 Ornn at that point dying for your ADC. That's great. Just yeah, it's unfortunate, but he had no shutty because he's so far down under that Cassante. Great, give up the Ornn kill and walk away. Unfortunately, they just hang around a little too long and get punished hard by Waldos.
I think maybe they thought they could continue to fight. Yeah, it's something that I probably have to look back at and see what happens.
Yeah.
I guess for now, like the things to take away is that Waldo's got a bunch of shutdowns. They're still in control. Like they got the neutral. I think the fight was not amazing, but they still got a lot of control and a lot, like plates and whatever off that.
Absolutely, Waldos feels emboldened to go for this, and Hecarim gets immediately armed by the Cassiopeia, and he is forced to use the onslaught to get away. Oh no, Silas is just making a cross-map play on the bottom, but he gets waved by the Nami, and this is looking like a Silas trade. However, he gets by Duckling. It's a beautiful bubble to guarantee the death by Yunara, and now Nami is sitting pretty under the tower. Karma has nothing to do. The cross-map play goes horribly wrong.
Yeah, good play at Waldo's. Again, that's something I probably need to watch back at. Like, I think that was a good cross-map look when you're giving up the Herald. I don't know how it got misplayed, but we'll play on a Waldo's to outplay a 1v2. Or 2v3.
Yeah. Yes, very well played. Duckling there played it perfectly. Monkey played it very well as we might see a dead Ornn here, as Cassante is all out. He's doing a ton of damage, and yes, he has enough to kill Ornn again. Now, usually Cassante games are nothing burger, but when Cassante is 6-1, the nothing burger starts to get a little spice on it, as Cassante is massively ahead.
Yeah, this could turn into a problem. We'll see what happens. We have Drake up in a minute and a half. I mean, you already see that Waldos has a lot of vision. Is this actually a fight?
I don't think so. I'm just gonna let it rock. Yeah, it's just a CS thing.
So we do see that Waldos had good vision in their bot side. I think Waldos is gonna retake vision in their bot side and play this next Drake. I do think it's playable for Waldos now, so we should see something akin to the first Drake fight on this next one.
Also, both ADC flashes are down. Nami is missing both sums as well as Karma. Both sums are down for Cassiopeia, while Silas has both summoners available. So it does look like we have a minor sum advantage for ETS. Ornn is missing flash. Cassante just got teleport back, and he does have flash as well.
Yeah, one thing to mention is that Yunara is on 2-item spike, so they're gonna have their carry being on extra damage for this Drake.
And Fiend Hunters is massive too. Once Yunara transcends, she is just crazy with Fiend Hunter builds.
The only scary
play
part...
setup. Cassiopeia is actually in a ton of trouble. The lane gank comes out from Silas, and Cassiopeia cannot walk back because she'll walk back into a Silas ult. And oh no, now that there's a 3v1 TP, Cassante's just teleporting into 3 people want to kill him. Unfortunately, I think that's the only player who can do that and not get killed. He is so far ahead. However, oh no! Oh no, Tomato King walks too far again. It's deja vu. He walks too far. Silas was out taking the lane. Yunara's mid, and he just gets instantly killed.
At least it wasn't, it's their second death. Like, it's not like they've been doing it the whole game. Yunara was mid that whole time. I think they have to go for the Drake. Yeah, Yunara was mid that whole time, so I like the pick onto Cassiopeia. Playing on the TP, I don't think was correct. And they honestly just tried to leave, which was great. But then, because Karma got picked off, that's their signal to do the Drake. So I think if the Karma doesn't walk up there, or, waits for somebody else to walk up there, then they regroup with the Yunara and they play the numbers advantage on Drake.
Yeah.
I think that's how they played it. They should have played it, but as it stands now, that Waldo's is 1 Drake to 2.
Oh, Yunara walking up. She does just gets some shields from Karma. Nothing too interesting. However, she is still so threatening. It is a level 12 Yunara right now. Oh my goodness, she's as big as the other team's jungler. As we just see Setsuna just getting item after item. This next back, He's going to produce another component. Cassante
where's
is
Karma,
coming up for the
please?
flank, and Tomato King is dead again. I think that was a little too many ults for Tomato King. I don't think the Nami ult was exactly needed. But Karma, my friend, you have no vision there, and they're all around mid. You cannot be doing that when your wave's pushed in.
Yeah, she put a ward in the bot line bush, but then everything, all the action is topside, and Cassante is Mia. Like, you can't walk there. It's unfortunate. Like, I think this death might give them the Baron.
Yeah. The Baron is doing shredding. Silas is TPing. This is not going to be a bloodless Baron. We see Hecarim angle coming. The Ornhorn hits. The Hecarim hits, and it's a
Good
combo. We go under a ton of trouble, and Yunara is just free shooting. It is a terrible situation when Yunara's not getting Wukong ulted. And now Cassante is a lamb for the slaughter. An 8-kill lamb for the slaughter. Does the quick steal? No, it doesn't happen. As Yunara secures it. What a beautiful wombo, including the Ornhorn, the Silas ult, the Hecarim ult. Oh my goodness.
This is kind of what I want to see. Is like they have a lot of CC, they have a lot of frontline, and notice that Yunara was hitting the entire time. And that's not even on IE spike. That's not even on LDR spike. It's just gonna get worse and worse. That was a really good contest by ETS. I think it was a bit of a flip because you are playing 4v5, but they have so much wombo that they can basically kill their entire team if they layer their abilities correctly. So good play by ETS. Now they have Baron control. Now it's top T1 take. This Baron should turn into bot side control, into mid bot, potentially mid bot T2s into the Drake to get third Drake for soul. ETS is in such a good position. IE spike coming in for Yunara, and she still has both summoners for this whatever the next play is.
And I think that's the true crux of why it's not exactly a flip. The most dangerous part of the game, if you're ETS, is Yunara getting jumped on and killed by, like, you know, Wukong, Cassante, Nami, Wave, whatever, right?
Ooh, nice
But when you're taking that Baron as Waldo's, you know exactly where the Wukong is, you know exactly where the Cassante is, they're all grouped up in that pit. It is painfully easy for Yunara to just sit back and front to back and do the fight she wants there. When you take that Baron, it's a positioning sacrifice too, it's not just tempo. And I see the Hecarim coming in. Unfortunately, he's a little far up, but oh my god, that Yunara damage. She's very lucky to not get killed. We see the TP as the counter engage might be coming out of Waldo's, but it's a very nice floaty plant for Silas to jump over the wall, and it turns out to be a little bit of a nothing burger.
Yeah, I mean, no kills there, but critically, we did burn Cass TP. Meaning that Cass, obviously, you're going to say Cassante bots, it's not the end of the world, Cassante's just going to go top here for this next Drake. Just something to call out. I mean, you bring up a really good point, Pike, is that Waldo's doesn't have any way to dive the Yunara. It's all very short range front to back, so they actually have to get through the Ornn, Hecarim, and Silas. But Corki is probably not going to be the person to do that. Cass could do that, but Cass, I don't think, is at the point where she can just burn through front line. And if she gets perma CC'd, it's going to be tough. So, like I said, this is what I'm saying. I think ETS's draft is just a little bit better when it comes to these really long, drawn-out scaling like fights towards the mid to late game. And we're kind of at that almost critical point where if they just group up as 5, they'll never lose.
Yep. And we see the drag is up in less than a minute. The first move onto the Dragon Vision is Waldo's Weirdos. We see ETS starting to push the wave up and trying to get the vision back. Cassante's there screening, but he cannot stay for too long. Hecarim is not here yet, so ETS cannot contest too much. They need to wait for their 5th player. The wave is getting pushed back in by Waldo's Weirdos because they took the objective prio first, and it looks like they're now transitioning into the river, and this is a bit of a tough situation for ETS. They need to find their way in. Ornn is sitting at the front and taking harass. That's probably the person you want harass on, as Cassante and Ornn continue to trade. The wave is now pushed into the middle, but it looks like Yunara might get going in, but no, it's not. Instead, it's a Hecarim going in. He got pulled back in by the Cassante, and the Ornhorn goes in the completely wrong direction, and that's not good. You popped 2 ults for the Cassante's 1. The Hecarim ult is still available. We see that the Wukong ults, but guess who is not ulting? It's Yunara. Yunara is unfortunately stuck off to the side, and this just might be the fight that Waldo's is looking for. Yunara cannot walk up. It's way too risky, and this will be second drag for Waldo's Weirdos.
I'll give you one guess as to what Waldo did right in that sequence and allow them to get that fight.
They got the objective vision first.
What did they do in the last series?
He got the objective vision and the mid-wave push first.
They got the mid wave. Like, you saw that
Yep.
all 5 players, they're not even side laning, right? Like, they're just in
Yep.
5 people down the mid lane. They get that mid prio, and then ETS has to split their objective. It's like, oh, do we want to go for that mid wave, or do we want to contest the ramp? You have to go for mid wave first, and then you guys regroup. You want to enter the river through line bush. But then when you split up like that, then it's so easy while Yunar is hitting that mid wave for Waldos to find and engage. This is just really good. Like, playing off of the fundamentals, playing off of the midways. Like, this is, I think, the one way that ETS may lose this game as well, is if they don't give it the... It's just all midways. It's just midways. Guys, get the midway first. If you learn nothing
Yeah.
else from this series and the previous series, get the midway first, please.
And I think the big thing was it was a really bad back timing off of ETS there, where they didn't have the mid wave properly shoved before they took a back, and that let Waldos push the wave deep onto ETS's side and made it very hard for ETS to be there in time for that dragon and put a lot of pressure on them.
I think the reset is understandable. He might have had Iron Spite. I think the bigger issue is that after they came off reset, they're trying to enter the dragon through the choke. They should be entering dragon through the mid wave. Like, you take the mid wave, you enter through the line bush. If they group them as 5 like that, then they can't lose. But as it stands, they did lose that dragon. Now it's 2-2. The goal lead is basically even. So now it's anyone's game for this next Baron.
Yep. If you're on the bright side for ETS, your gold lead is in the right person's hands. It's in Yunara's. But man, it feels like how the mighty have fallen here as we see the classic Waldos. Look who's in control of the mid wave, of the mid vision right now. And look who's walking through another choke in what looks to be fight number 2 if this isn't played properly.
Okay, so they finally have mid-wave control, but now it comes the second part. How can ETS use that mid-wave control to get something? And it doesn't seem like they're going to do too much. Like, we saw what Waldos did. They got mid-wave control, then they would send 5 people into the enemy jungle. They would use the mid-prio for an advantage, but ETS isn't using that mid-prio for any advantage. So they're just denying Waldos the opportunity to do something. So we just have to see when a fight breaks out.
And this is the problem with the A2 Cassante. It's actually unplayable for Silas. Cassante is way too fat. You can't properly trade with him. So, unfortunately, Silas is just forced to back. They're forced to swap with Ornn, and that might actually be an opportunity for Cassio to push that tower. She does have her teammates there to support her.
Yeah, improper lane assignments, now they fixed it, but then the cost of the improper lane assignments is that top T1, and most importantly, topside vision control. Now they have complete control of topside. They're going to get mid-prio, and then they're going to look to convert this into some kind of a Baron advantage. Like, this is Waldos' game right now. We'll have to see how ETS plays this.
Yep, and it looks like Dr. Waldo has come
Yeah, they go
back
for top lane.
oh no, Silas has been caught out in the side lane, and we see it again. ETS does not take proper advantage of the mid waves. They have no good vision in their own jungle, and they're just a day late and $1 short on the plays as Waldo makes a beautiful connect. Look, Wukong is connecting this wave into the tower, and the tower might
Mid T2
actually
trade.
fall. We are seeing a mid for top T2 trade out of ETS. They take decisive action here into trading it off. I don't think they can go...
Ooh, okay. Okay. I'm fine with this pause.
This is your chance.
There's so much to unpack. Okay. The big thing, just a big thing to take away is that Waldos was behind, right, for most of the game. But as soon as we hit the critical threshold where your team has to just do well on the map, this is where Waldos comes to shine. Like, they're very good at getting early game advantages, but you could see that even if they don't have early game advantages, that the mid-game objective control is very good by Waldos. So they basically have 2 ways to win the game. They have like fallback plans. You could see that Waldos is taking the mid-wave control and then looking for fights somewhere. They're using the fact that Yunar is going to stay on mid-wave. They're using the fact that they've taken vision control, and they've already taken all the outers, which means that they can get deep vision in whatever jungle that they want to get these picks and to claw back into the game. But ETS is not aware of the same power. Their ETS is getting these mid-waves sometimes, but they're not actually using it for aggressive control. They're just kind of like sitting on their hands during the 20 seconds between mid-waves. They're getting maybe shallow vision, and that's at best. And more importantly, I think the way that the side laners are playing the mid game is also not super ideal. Like, we see that the lane assignments aren't like super correct. We're seeing that some of the laners are pushing way too past where they're allowed to push. These are, I would say, they're a little more sophisticated mistakes than basic mistakes, but when you're playing against Waldos, these are basic mistakes that Waldos will punish. So at this point, unless ETS can basically flip a fight, I still think that ETS is a really good way of fighting a 5v5 somewhere and winning. But that's what it comes down to. I think you've dropped the ball in the mid game and you've given them so much control that the only way that you're going to win is through either some kind of numbers advantage pick on the cross map of whatever Waldos wants to get, or you just flip a 5v5 somewhere and you just have to hope you win, because at this point Waldos is poised to win, just given the amount of control that they have.
And if we're looking at the gold, you can see that yes, Yunara's up 4k, but it's about 3.5k, and mid lane Cassiopeia has come out in front too. If you're looking at the money here, are gonna see a slight pause. This is not the stream or anything crashing. This is a classic Riot. When you're done pausing, the game's gonna freak out a little bit about depending on how long it took for the game pause to end. But yes, the game is so much closer. It is now actually slightly Waldo favored.
Yeah, yes, Yunara has an item spike, but that's only valuable if Yunara is able to actually hit. That means you need to have vision control. That means you need to be able to take the fights on your terms. If you're just gonna get picked off, or they're engaging onto you, Yunara isn't gonna get a lot of high value damage. So yes, Yunara is scary, but it is contingent on their team playing around the Yunara and playing fundamentals correctly.
Yep, very, very true. It does feel like in those last few fights, the 3.5k gold lead that you saw Yunara had just went completely to waste. Yunara was stuck taking care of mid-wave while the fight was happening elsewhere. It is just a really nice job of Waldo's kind of eliminating the best factor, that is the enemy team's ADC, while making use of their Fed Cassante here, who is just a menace right now.
Yeah, I think whatever this next fight is going to decide the game. So we're seeing ETS take midwave control. I want to see them walk into bot side river and retake vision control. I mean, look at all the red boards. Like, you need to retake that control.
Look at the passive route that a couple of them take. They're actually a little split there, and Waldo's just pounces and immediately takes the vision back.
Yeah, they're gonna take this midwave, then they're gonna just do the Drake.
Yep.
Or they're gonna they're gonna win a fight or something.
Yep, and the Drake is up in 8 seconds, and ETS is not properly defended. ETS says, screw it, we're just gonna go anyways. Unfortunately, the Ornhorn gets ruined, and Hecarim's engage falls silent. It is a disastrous fight for ETS. The shields come out from Karma. Orange trying to make the fight work, but unfortunately he's just taking way too much damage, and Cassante jumps in with the scoop and score on Karma. Wukong Clone is taking a ton of damage, but everyone else on Waldo's Weirdos is doing great, and it is another beautiful choking fight out of Waldo's Weirdos that is just exactly what you said. They're gonna force a fight.
Exactly. Like, they already have the midwave. They can do whatever they want now. They don't have... Basically, midwaves are chores. You have a chore every 20 seconds. After you do your chores, then you can go eat your ice cream, you can go like play in the park, you can do whatever you want. After you've done your chore, after you've done the midwave, you can do whatever you want. You can go for Drake, you can go for a deep vision, you can go for a fight. So, and then what ended up happening is Ornn they were pressured to look for that fight, and then Ornn basically didn't hit his ult, and then Hecarim got cast ulted. This is the thing that you mentioned earlier, where if Hecarim just goes in, then casting ult. So, this is, I think, the thing that's going to solidify that Waldo's is in the lead. Like, before, it was like Waldo's is calling back from a deficit. Now Waldo's is definitely in complete control of this game. They are probably going to be looking to take this Baron and then close out the game from this point. Like, ETS, again, you either have to contest the midways and then utilize the midway advantage for something, or you just flip the fight. Like, those are your two options.
Yeah. And, you know, the pick'ems here were 50-50. But I think 50% of the people were wrong, because Waldo's looks freaking crazy right now, as the game feels like it's slipping away from ETS. Wukong takes a little bit of harass, but the Beyblade doesn't do as much damage as you want. Yunara's just walking forward, and fortunately Waldo's side laners are in a position where they can't pounce. But man, look how much they have to fight just to get some vision. They finally, for the first time feels like in forever, get some deep-ish vision into Waldo's Weirdo side of the jungle. But look, they're all backing. The vision's just going to be taken away, and the midwave's going to be reset.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's okay. Maybe they're on item spikes. Like, there's not an objective for another 3 minutes. In fact, the next play, I know it is going to be Baron, but like,
I believe, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just stupid. I was just like, oh, there's no Baron up. They're gonna play bot T2. No, they're gonna. But I think, like,
And look,
you know,
the
it's a
choking
team-wide
vision
reset.
comes out. The choking
Yeah,
vision
just
comes out again. It's the same trap. We're going to see the same trap. I believe it's like 7 times in a row out of Waldo's. If you count last series, it's crazy. Oh no, Wukong gets the engage he wants on Yunara. Yunara is forced to transcend and run away immediately. The Wukong clone takes the most of the harass. Oh no, Cassiopeia walked out and then here comes the Hecarim ultimate. She is not ready in time. The Zanias is forced out. Here comes the call of the Forge God. Yunara gets counter ulted by Cassiopeia and Cassiopeia is taken out of the fight. Aris comes in and does a ton of damage to Karma, but Yunara has not died yet. Yunara gets all outed by Cassante, and unfortunately she dies. The team goes down, and all that's left is Ornn fighting against the onrushing tide of Waldo's Weirdos. The game might just be over now. It is a complete disaster of a fight from ETS Esports.
yeah, that's a crazy fight by Waldo's. I have to see what happened again, but like it looked okay. It looked like Setsuna was doing a lot of damage there, but I think at this point it's like even if Waldo's doesn't want to fight, they choose to drop and then just take the Baron, right? So it's like they're in a do or die state where he just has to win that fight, and they ended up losing. I think it's game.
Yeah, just man, it looks so promising from ETS, but guess what? You've learned a valuable lesson here if you're ETS Esports. Mid-wave, mid-wave, mid-wave.
I think everyone needs to realize how important mid-wave is. Whether or not I agree with Waldo's 5-man A-ramming mid, it's getting the mid control and they're utilizing it well. So it just gets you so much control of the map. So well played to Waldo's. Very clean game 1. Even from game 2, like they were behind with some early game stuff, but they were able to come back just utilizing fundamentals. Really good vision control, very good just fighting in general. Yeah, they definitely deserve the well played to Waldo's, but fantastic performance by ETS as well. I think game 1 was a little tough. I think you had to play from behind, and I think we had some good performances, just doing what you can. Game 2 definitely a lot better. We did see like a lot of control, like a lot of good fighting. I guess Waldo's just eked out a little bit. So well played to both though. Great series.
Yeah, massive. If you are looking at this game and you want to, maybe you're kind of newer to League of Legends or you're lower ranked and you're wondering like, what is Chaos talking about when we talk about this midwave and this control? Highly suggest you guys go to the Archives Discord in the coaching or go to their YouTube. There is a Joe Mama special on objective control and on midwave setups. And honestly, those two things are what won Waldo's Weirdos this game 2. Because they were in a pit. They were not doing well. Until they came in with their classic mid to late game strategy of just choke them out of the wave, get all the vision you want, and force a fight that you want.
Yeah. I guess one thing to call out is that was Joe Mama's seminar, and Joe Mama is the coach for Waldo's. So I guess if Waldo's isn't able to do that, then
nobody is.
Probably some conversation to be had.
Yeah.
But no, it's really good. This is what high level League of Legends should look like, and against teams that don't know how to play like this, I think even if you lose in laning phase, you're going to be able to come back, and you're just going to be able to play on the map better. So again, really well played by Waldo's. That means that they are now the winner of, I guess, there's one more losers round, which is we're going to know what happens after my match with the Bog Dogs tomorrow.
Ooh.
Who's going to play against Waldo's. So
that is going to be beautiful. Well, just to warn you, midwave.
Do not worry. That is something I know all too well.
But seriously, when we're thinking about it, in the in lower and middle division, a lot of the differences what you see are these like either massive fundamental issues in terms of just being completely wrong, or hands diffs. You know what I mean? Like some guys just straight up better than the other guy, and it leads to this massive like cascading failure. And in the upper divisions, it's these small things like controlling your mid waves, properly setting up vision, these smaller things that the casual eye might not see that can kill you in a game like this. And we saw how Waddles dismantled a team that in a middle division game, I think ETS wins 100% of the time. If you swapped them out at about maybe like 15 minutes in, you swapped Waldo's and ETS with just 2 middle division teams, ETS wins like 95% of those games. But in the upper division, that's not that's not a guarantee. You need to play this tempo game, this game of push and pull, and you need to play it so well because you've seen if you don't play it right, you will just get punished.
Yeah, we saw that like ETS was winning a good portion of the fights, and in my opinion, I think they would have outscaled,
Mhm.
but it all comes down to can you play correct League of Legends before you play the fighting. Like comp is not a fighting game; it's a strategy game. It's primarily a strategy game. Like if you know how to play the strategy, then the fights become very easy. So I guess that's kind of where they fell flat. Is they weren't able to play the strategy aspect
Yep.
better than Waldo's. Waldo's very good map control.
Yep. And that is a great way to put it. It's a strategy game. When you see people play things, it's like XCOM. If any of you have seen XCOM before, XCOM 2, you have to, before you do anything, before you shoot at the aliens, the simple people will just run in and all their rookies get killed, and it's a terrible time. At the high level, you need to send people into screen. You need to have these waves of vision in front of you so you get the alpha strike on the enemy. And we see Waldo's do it again and again. Who's getting the alpha strike? Who's getting that first engage that makes sure they win the fight? Well, except for that ill-conceived Baron play in the middle game that almost lost it for
Yeah.
them, it was them. So really, really well played out of both teams. I love the second game a lot more than the first, considering that ETS had more kills than like the total kills of last game. A lot more fun to cast, but in the end, Waldo's Weirdos' delightful mid-game macro just pulls it out for them.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of crazy that I feel like I mean they were fighting really well as a team, but I think the only team fight quote unquote was that one time where they 5v4'd on Baron and they won. Up until that, it was like or like that's like the only time, and at that point after that point, I don't think Waldo's ever gave ETS an opportunity to even look for a team fight. So
Yeah, absolutely true. Absolutely true. Um, yeah, just man, I did not think it would. First thing, well played to Waldo's too for showing that consistent winning formula that they had last time. Um, we saw a lot of struggle in that game one versus Akasha, where they basically fell apart at the seams. It's really nice to see a team that we talk about. We need to see this consistency out of them. They did bring their A game both games, even though they did have some minor bumps. They brought kind of the Waldo's team that looks like they can win whatever they want if they play it correctly. That's great to see the consistency. And two, you had an unknown factor in this jungler who by no means played terribly. I think
yeah, true.
for being a kind of a fill in, I believe it's Felius, played very admirably as Hecarim. He did a great job. Felfis played very admirably, and you're just facing a complete unknown, and they did a great job making it work. Uh, yeah. Any last thoughts on the game before we give up on it for tonight?
Yeah, I hope Bogdogs is watching. I mean, you're gonna play them next, right? So make sure you take notes.
Yes, absolutely. Bog Dogs, please watch. If you get lazy on it, you might be suffering the same thing. For the rest of you guys, please, you can see our socials on the right here. Follow us on Twitch, follow us on YouTube, the Gram, TikTok, all those great things. Sorry, I'm not too much of a social media guy. But if you have those, please follow us. Please, please, please come to the Archives Discord. We will have more tournaments coming on. We are already planning on a summer split, which will be starting up around July, if I remember correctly. Don't have exact dates yet, they'll come out soon. We have coaching, we have masters level coaches, we have coaches who have kind of coached in like the lower rungs of NA professional League of Legends who are offering their services to you for free because they just love the game. You'll also find people who want to play in-houses. You'll find people who are just looking for flex. Also, we have people who play Rainbow Six. Bless their souls. I feel bad for them. Zombies, same difference. And there's just a lot of opportunities for you to just join a great community and have a great time. But I think that will be it out of us. You're really missing out if you don't join us. I have gotten so much better As a personal note, I maxed out at gold and I'm pushing emerald now. That's not obviously not one size fits
Nice.
all, but they literally do it for free and they do it because they love the game. You'll find plenty of people who love the game there. It's a certified fun time. I can say it myself. But yeah, please join us. Have a great time. Also, follow the Twitch. There are a lot more games going. It's time for me to criticize Chaos next.
Whoa! What do you
Oh!
mean?
I'm gonna be on you like white on rice, brother.
Nah, yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited about tomorrow's game.
No, it's gonna be a great game, and they're doing it tomorrow. I will certainly, if I'm not casting, I will be watching, and it is gonna be a great time. So, I will see you guys later, and I hope you have a good rest of your night. Stay safe and enjoy the rest of your week. We're signing off. See ya.
Bye bye.